Hey everyone, so I'm out doing a little running around today. It's a Sunday, it's a beautiful day, sunny, about 60 degrees. So I figure, you know what, why not take the R out for today? So while I'm running around. So I figured I'd talk a little bit more about the car, a little bit more follow-up information from the owner's experience video I did last year. Just kind of talk about the future for the channel, the cars, and whatnot. So I still love the car. I'm still not selling this anytime soon. I have zero plans to sell this car. I think it's amazing. I don't really think you'll see cars like this possibly ever again with how fast the car market is changing. There's just so many great things to say about this car. If you want a really positive, engaging driving experience, it's hard to beat a car this capable at this price point. The car is just a blast to drive. Everything the car does is fantastic. It steers good, it shifts good. Everything is just awesome in this car, and I absolutely love this car. I'm so glad I ended up buying this thing. You know, I had to sell some of my other cars to be able to get this thing, but in the long run, I think it was well worth it. The steering is incredibly precise in this car, as I've said before. The turning radius is terrible, but that's as you would expect a car with a 300 series tire on it. It's not going to be very good. So, but honestly, I don't really care all that much. I'm not doing any tight circles or running around in this thing in tight areas for the most part. The car shifts fantastic. This is, so many YouTubers have said, and I agree, that this is one of the best 6-speed manuals ever. It does not have the traditional notchiness that a lot of transmissions, especially Tremec transmissions, typically have. With most 6-speed manuals, you will find that typically 4 is 1-to-1, but with this car, 5th is 1-to-1. So the gearing is actually really, really short in this car. So even just like cruising around now, you'll see I'm going through the gears relatively quickly, and when I shift, the RPMs really don't drop that much. But it's a performance car. I don't really care. This is paired with a 373 rear end, so the gearing is kind of short in this thing, but honestly, I don't care. It's not that bad, but this car is just so wonderful to drive around. It has a really good personality, this car, where if you want it to be a monster, it is a monster. If you want to just cruise around like this, have a nice, comfortable drive, take it to dinner, run errands, use it as a normal car, it's fine for that. It's comfortable. It's not overly aggressive when you don't want it to be. It's not this monster that's just really annoying, or your back doesn't hurt when you get out of this thing. It's just a really fun car to just putt around in if you want to go putt around in your car. So I can't say enough good things about this car, and what they did at this price point is absolutely fantastic. I know a lot of people were kind of put off by this engine, all the problems they had, especially on some of the earlier cars, but yeah, I think they seem to have resolved most of the issues. But this is, I think, going to go down as an iconic engine that Ford will never do again. I know GM's got theirs coming up, their flat plane crank engine coming up in the new Z06, but it's going to be very different from this engine. But that's probably going to be a pretty expensive car, and I'm sure the dealer markups on that thing are going to be insane, despite GM saying that they're going to try to combat that. But we'll see how this plays out. The car market is still in a very crazy spot. If you're looking to get one of these, you should probably do it sooner than later. Start doing your research, start hunting around, because I think the prices are just going to keep going up. We keep seeing record prices on these cars, especially the Heritage models. The pricing is just nuts on those things right now. I know a lot of people think there's a big bubble coming, you know, it's going to pop, the car market's going to return to some sort of normalcy. Now, I agree with that with your regular vehicles. You know, your more normal daily driven vehicles, you're probably going to see that. With these specialty cars, I don't think it's going to happen. I think, you know, if there ends up being a big major crash in the market, which I don't even know what's really going to happen, the way things are playing out now, these cars are not going to be available. This is not the traditional path that the car market takes, where the new stuff comes out, it's improved, it's better. The car market is changing, whether you like it or not, whether you like electric cars or not, whether you like automatics or not. This stuff is just changing so quickly that we're probably not going to see a return to what the market used to be, where things are going to go back to where they were, and there'll be a new model out to offset the prices. Everything's going to be going hybrid and electric in the coming years. They keep upping the requirements. The CAFE standards just got upped again, even before they met the new what the standards were going to be. So this is probably going to be one of your last opportunities to buy this. I did my video a few weeks ago talking about you should keep your 350, and I think that really applies not just to 350s, but with all cars. If you have something that you really like, you really better think twice about selling it and making a quick buck, because the opportunity to get in something else both desirable and affordable is slowly coming to an end. So I guess we're going to have to see how this all plays out in the long run. Now, and then as far as what I'm doing, like I said, I'm keeping this car. I'm keeping the Raptor. I'm really not going to do anything crazy to those cars. I'm not going to be modifying them. I'm kind of debating down the road, maybe throwing one of those Ford Performance catbacks on the Raptor, but I'm not 100% sold if I'm going to do that or not yet. I'm not 100% sure. It might not even happen this year. I kind of have to see what's going to happen with acquiring another vehicle. Now, as I've said in several of my other videos, I'm looking to pick up a GT500 carbon fiber trackback car. That is not going to take a place of this. This car is staying. I put the lift in my garage, so now I have the room for another sports car. I would love it to have been a Gen 5 Viper. Probably not going to happen unless something big happens, because those things, when I was looking at them a couple years ago, we're starting to get down to about $80,000 for a GTS. And now that same GTS is probably about 140. So that market, that ship is pretty much sailed, and forget about an ACR. You're talking a nice ACR right now is probably about $250,000. So that ship has pretty much sailed for me. So that's okay. I like the 500s. The Viper is a great, very analog manual transmission car, and that's kind of what this is. Obviously very different characteristics because the engines are completely different, but I kind of want to try something a little different, mainly with that DCT in the 500s. I know a lot of people are put off by that transmission. However, for those that still want the Monster Power 500 but a manual, there is a company out there now that is offering a manual conversion. Haven't seen one of them in person yet, but they seem to be look like they're going to be cleanly done the way they're going to do them. They're going to use 350 parts, so it has a nice OE look to it. Still shopping for that 500, but the problem is 2022 is not looking like it's going to be a good year to pick up a 500. They're still behind. The factory was shut down for a week. They just started production. I'm seeing them start to kind of pop up now on some of the vehicle locators. But I think you have people that had 21 allocated that haven't hit production yet. And they're just, I don't know if they're going to be allotting a lot of 22s. I was talking to a dealer out in Pennsylvania that I put some money down to reserve a spot. They had a couple of dealers. He did not get as many allocations as he was originally expecting to get. So I'm really this is not looking good. So we're going to have to see how this all plays out in the long run. For the most part, I'm just going to keep an eye on the inventory of what all the other dealers have. I gotta work my way over. All the other dealers have coming in so far. I spoke to some of my local dealers, and they're all asking crazy markups. I'm to the point where I'm really, like most people, I really don't want to pay a markup. I didn't pay a markup on this. I didn't pay a markup on my Raptor, but we're kind of at the end of the road here, and I think I'm gonna have to pay, and I'm kind of coming to the mindset that I'm willing to pay a little bit of a markup to get a car, but these dealers that are in the 20, 25, 30 range, I don't want to go that high yet. So I'm not to that point. I'm sure some of these dealers are going to get these crazy high markups, but I don't really want to do that and pay these ridiculous markups. I'll pay a little bit, I think, at this point, because I did a video about a month ago or so wondering if Ford's going to do a 23 500. I think that the opportunity has presented itself where it is much more feasible now that they push the S650 back by a year, but I don't think Ford's going to do it. I don't really think it's worth their time, even though the 500 is super hot right now. Really hope that they decide to do it, but I just don't think that they are. And because of that, and a lot of people are kind of know that we're at the end of the road for cars like this, that the supercharged V8s are pretty much going to die after 23, that it's get it now, new, or forget it, because even the used car prices are crazy. People have said to me, oh, well, just get a used one. Well, the used ones are just as expensive as the new ones. And one thing that I think is kind of odd is that the 350 has been out for 6 years now. So it was a 6-year production for that car. 15 was kind of not really a production year, but they still did 6 years of that car. The 500 has only been out for 2. The 22s really haven't hit yet, really, but I see so many 500s for sale. Now, I'm sure some of it is people cashing out in this crazy market, but I see, when I check some of the big sales websites like Auto Trader, I find basically the same amount of 350s for sale as 500s. And we could say there's only 2 years of those things. It's like, why are so many people dumping these things? I know a lot of people weren't happy with the manual, with the automatic, the DCT only, and a lot of people that got out of 350s and went to 500s jumped back into the 350 because they kind of really weren't that impressed with the 500. But it's amazing how many of those things that I see for sale. Now, I'm sure, like I said, people are looking to cash out. They're looking to make a quick buck. If they can, get $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 more than they paid, if they don't absolutely love the car, they'll just they'll do it. They'll sell. They'll make that significant profit, and then just I guess go on to the next one from there. But I actually went over to one of my local dealers the other day, and I talked to the guy, the general manager there, and I said, what's the deal? Are your allocations spoken for? Or do you guys have units coming in for stock? I think you said they had a Heritage coming in for stock, which I'm not really into that color. I know it's a Heritage. I know it's probably going to be super hot, but I kind of want to get another race red. I went to go look at one out in Long Island this week. Unfortunately, they sold it a couple days before I went to go, so I missed the boat on that one. But the dealer I talked to locally said I think he said he had like 1 or 2 allocations left, which I was kind of surprised. He says they're getting a bunch, which I'm a little skeptical about getting a bunch. Every other dealer that I talk to where I know someone that works there was all telling me they're getting like 1. This guy's saying he's getting a bunch. He instantly told me, yeah, we're doing at least 20 for him. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going that high. Not on 3rd-year production. I don't want to go that high yet. So, and then he basically told me how they can get 20 all day and all that kind of salesman stuff. So I'm like, okay, dude, that's fine. So at this point, I'm just going to do what I did with the 350 here. I'm just going to punch in the zip code of every major city and just keep searching throughout the country, mainly East Coast, Midwest, because that's closer to me. Also, I don't know if most people know this. Sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. If you go on the Ford website and you're doing like a vehicle locator, you can scroll down, and the closest thing you can push is scroll down to is a 100-mile radius check. Now, if you actually go in the URL up top and actually manually change that 100 to, you can change it to a 500 into a 500-mile search, but it sometimes works for me and sometimes it doesn't. So at this point, since we're kind of running out of time, I'm just going to have to keep kind of searching to see what comes in locally. Maybe I'll get lucky and find somebody with an allocation, and I can maybe negotiate to a more reasonable allocation level, maybe not. But there are a lot of 1-year only colors. Now, Ford normally did like 2 or so 1-year only colors for 20 and 21, but there's 14 colors for 2022, and 8 of the 14 colors are going to be 1 year only. So I'm sure that's what a lot of people are clamoring for. And then that Heritage, forget about it. I'm sure a lot of dealers saw what happened to the 350 Heritage, and that's pretty much what they're going to get and look to make a huge buck on, because they're probably expecting there to be people to pay, thanks pal, people to pay massive numbers and then go from there. So I hope you enjoyed the video, a little chatting while I'm out cruising and running some errands. Thanks for watching.